Hey YouTubers, doing something a little different today. I had this idea to do this, maybe a week or two ago, I forget what, and I was like, oh, I'll just listen to every single King Crimson album in one day and then make this video, and then I think I got either through Lizard or Islands, and I was like, I kind of want to do something else. So I ended up not doing everything in one day, and it's been like a week or two since I had this idea. But I've given nearly every album another re-listen. I mean, I've heard all of these, dozens of times. Because I think I became a King Crimson fan back in would have been 2017 or 18. Because I remember it was one of the first times I went record store shopping. I found a couple albums by them that I picked up. Uh, which maybe I'll share a little anecdote here and there about my experience with some of these. I have a lot of merchandise uh, that I'll probably show off here and there just when I feel it's relevant. Uh, just because a lot of it's in arm's reach for me actually. Uh, but yeah, I've listened to all of these, and I'm gonna preface this entirely by saying I like all these albums. And I'm gonna be rating it specifically against each other. So like, say something that's in D tier. If I was doing a great like my favorite albums of all time, or like every album I've ever listened to, a D tier here would not be a D tier on this list. I'm saying is D tier as a King Crimson album specifically. And I'm gonna just say it now, like it's kind of weighted weird, just because there's some of them are pretty consistent on like grouping together in terms of quality. I think so. Like there might be some that do not have very many in them, just because I like them a lot, or maybe I dislike a lot of them. Who's to say? Uh, but yeah. So to start off, we got Court. Everybody loves Court, and I am no different. It's one of the best prog rock albums of all time. I don't think many people could argue that. The only hang up that people have about this album is Moonchild. Uh, Me personally, I do not mind Moonchild. I don't go out of my way to listen to it if I'm not listening to the full album. However, I do think that the beginning part, that's like the like actually structured song. It's not like the improvised parts. Uh, I love that part. Like it, if it was entirely just like the improvised stuff, and it didn't have Greg Lake singing the Moonchild song at the beginning, it might pull this down to an A or a B, just because that song would be I'm not gonna say it's unforgivably bad, uh, but like when you compare the improv piece and that is Moonchild, or at least the majority of it, besides the beginning part, compared to improv improvised parts or improvised songs off of, say, the Larks trilogy, there is a huge gap uh, in terms of how much I like those songs. Uh, However, it is I it's very much it's kind of like a chill out kind of song. It's not bad, but it's nothing exceptional besides the beginning part. I love the introduction section of it. uh Meanwhile, Schizoid Man, banger. Talk to the Wind, banger. Epitaph, banger. In the Court of the Crimson King, or is it In the Court or just The Court? I can't recall. uh Banger. These some of my favorite songs ever. Definitely, like, I'm gonna sound like a weirdo for saying this, but when I first got like my good speakers for my hi-fi here. I remember listening to Schizoid Man, and like the bass in the mirrors section sounded so damn good that it literally brought a tear to my eye. That's how good it was. It's beautiful song. I shouldn't say beautiful because it's very abrasive, but it's immaculate. Okay. I could go on and on about Schizoid, or not Schizoid, Court. I will say, I lost my train of thought here. So right here I have hard to show it. This is a vintage copy of the album. I'm not sure what year the pressing of this is. I feel like I had it figured out for a while. The sleeve is falling apart a little bit. It's old. It's definitely old because it's got the island logo for the vinyl record. This is not the one that I bought originally. I bought this one a couple years ago at a secondhand store in, I think it was Pennsylvania. Does it have a year on the disc? I can't see the back side of this with the sleeve on. Oh. Did I know this? Does it say on this label or like sticker? Apparently I have a German copy. I just realized because on the disc, you can't, I'm not going to be able to show this on camera, but it has pressed into the vinyl itself, made in Germany. And then I realized the outside rim, this little kind of an orange, red, or I think it's orange, little outline there, it has text in German on it. And then I'm just noticing so much now, like instead of side A, it says like SEITE, which I'm not sure how you'd say that in Deutsch, site. I don't know. But yeah, it's got, like the titles, the song names, like all that is in English. But yeah, because I'd assumed Island was like the American one, because like, I think Island is what they released like the first couple albums in the US through, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% certain about that. But I'm learning something new every day, and apparently I have a German copy of Court. I'm not sure if I knew that or not, but I'm gonna guess it's probably from the 70s. I doubt this is a first edition of it. Maybe 80s. I don't know the full history of. I'm gonna put this back. But okay, that's enough about Court. So now we have In the Wake of Poseidon. I'm lowballing Wake a little bit, but to me, sorry, I burped. Wake is kind of, in my mind, the same way I see, this is going to be another unpopular opinion, Room on Fire by The Strokes. Like, it's a follow-up to an amazing album, but it's in my mind, it doesn't do a whole lot different. I think it could be argued for a lot of people that Room on Fire by The Strokes is, it's kind of the same but more and done better. But to me, it's kind of like, well, why would I listen to that? Kind of getting a similar kind of thing. When Is This It or Court already exists. Why wouldn't I just listen to that? It's not entirely the same thing, but that's because for these two, generally, if I'm gonna listen to one, it's Court. But there are songs on Room on Fire that kind of make it a little more differently, but I think it's the kind of thing that I like. That's why I've listened to Is This It more than Room on Fire over the years, just because they're very similar. And if I'm gonna listen to one of those era of albums, I'd rather just listen to the first one. That's I'm sure some people disagree with that. Some people might agree with that. And I don't. This isn't a Strokes video, so I don't know why I'm even going on about this. But so yeah, because like Wake of Poseidon, I had initially thought to either put it in B or C tier. I was leaning towards like bottom of B. However, I had forgotten, because I hadn't listened to it in a while, just how damn good the title track on this album is. That is probably my favorite Greg Lake vocal performance of all time. And I've listened to a lot of ELP. I haven't listened to every single ELP album, but I've listened to a lot of ELP. And God, Wake Up Poseidon is so good. I will say, Pictures of the City, nowhere close to how good Schizoid Man is, and they're very similar. I think Schizoid is, or I think Pictures of the City is a little bit boring. So I might put it top of B tier for now. Because I did an initial ranking without listening to everything again. Maybe I'll put that on the screen here just so you can see, like, okay, what I was thinking, what was in my headspace before I even started this. And so yeah, but like cat food, I'm not a huge fan of cat food. I think it's all right. It's not great. Cadence and Cascade, the Greg Lake version is better, but it's still not like my greatest like love of that style. Like, I'm gonna say that style, but like a kind of more low key, kind of ballady King Crimson song. It's not really high up there for me compared to some of the other ones. Devil's Triangle, very unsettling. I love that song, but at the same time, it's just Holst's Mars suite changed a little bit. So they didn't have to put a ton of effort into that, I wouldn't think, because I have a bunch of CDs of their performances from the early 70s, like Islands Era Tour stuff, and they have Mars on a lot of those. So like, it's whatever. What's the last song on there? I'm just gonna pull up the album so I can look at track listings while I'm going through this. I probably should have done that to start with. Where's King Crimson? Wake. The Peace songs, I think they're serviceable. I like them for what they are. They're not as good as other times they would attempt kind of these little interludes. I think that they've done it better on other albums. Or did they only do it on one other album? I don't recall. But I know they did it at least one other time, and I liked it a lot more on that album, and we'll get to that when we get to that. Some people might want to count Groon with this album. Groon is like I think it was the B-side to Cat Food. It's all right. I forget which concert it is, but there's a like 18-minute, like heavily improvised performance of Groon that's actually pretty good. I'm thinking of maybe doing a like ranking of a bunch of different like live albums and projects that I have listened to. I haven't listened to everything, so but that's gonna be a really long video if I go through and re-listen to everything that I have, because I have a lot, and I've listened to a lot, and so I will potentially do that. I don't know. That'll be pretty far down the road if I have to do that, because that's a lot of music I gotta re-listen to. There's a couple that I'm like, oh, in my head, I remember it being just as good as I remember. so I don't need to. But like, there are some things that I haven't listened to in years that I'm like, Uh, but so yeah, that is all of Wake. I will leave it where I have it for now. I might put it up to A tier. I'm thinking it might even go down like slightly, maybe like second or third in B tier if I had to guess. But for now, let's leave it at top B tier. I think is a good spot for it. So now we have Lizard. There's a lot to be said about Lizard. It's been formerly disowned by Robert Fripp. I remember reading that he did not like it, but I think he kind of changed his mind on the remaster, I think. But that was probably just him trying to be like, oh, if my last statement about the album is I hate it, why would anyone buy it? But Lizard, I like Lizard. It's not the best album ever. It has plenty of problems. Title track, goated. It is one of my favorite, like, prog songs that go over 15 minutes. I'm gonna leave that as my parameters, just because there are other King Crimson songs that are over 10 minutes, but not over 15 minutes that I like more than Lizard. And did I say prog or King Crimson? Just in general, there are King Crimson songs that I like that are longer than 10 minutes, less than 15. And there are plenty of other prog songs that are over 15 minutes that I also like that I might rank underneath Lizard. It's a behemoth, takes up the whole second side of the album. I forget. No, I'm not gonna grab anything for Lizard. I think my biggest problem with the album itself is Happy Family. The vocal effects on that are just terrible. I don't think anybody could argue that. They are just genuinely horrible to listen to. Like, I don't know how to describe it without like listening to it again, but I feel like it's either like panning back and forth or like one ear is cutting out and cutting back in constantly or something like that. I don't recall off the top of my head. It's been like maybe a week since I listened to Lizard. I should have taken notes, but like it's just not a good song to me, just purely off of that. Like the instrumental, like I don't really have a whole lot to say about, but like the vocal effects just kill the entire thing. And I think it's like a Beatles like allegory song, and I don't care about the Beatles, so that doesn't even give me that's not a plus or a minus for me. I don't give two damns about the Beatles. Indoor Games is all right. Circus, great song. I will say I prefer it off of this record. It's, what is it called? Uncertain Times. It's a collection of 4 live performances ranges from 2015 to 2017, looks like, and the Circus is from Vienna 2016. I probably wouldn't buy this, but I got it for Christmas a couple years ago, so I have it. I probably asked for it. I don't recall, but it was the kind of thing where I wasn't gonna pay for it myself because it's probably like $20 for 4 songs. It's not a whole lot of value there. But like Lady of the Dancing Water, that what I was talking about with Cadence and Cascade, Lady of the Dancing Water is just so beautiful. That is genuinely like one of their best songs in my opinion. Like it is, I'd say, I'm not sure if Lady of the Dancing Water or Lizard would be the standout from Lizard. Like it's kind of a toss up between the two, which is, it's really funny to think about. My two like favorite songs competing for the top here are a 2-minute and 47-second song and a 23-minute and 15-second song. Uh, so there's pretty wide range, and I I think I had Lizard ranked lower on my original list. I think I had it in C tier, but now that I'm thinking about it, the only problem I have is indoor games. Like, I don't, no, I think I had it in B tier. I think I gotta put it in B tier. Um, is there any song on here that I like more than Wake of Poseidon? Yeah, I'd say overall, Lizard is probably better than Wake. I think that they're pretty close. You could probably go either way for me for those two. But yeah, let us move on. What's the next album? Islands. Islands for a while was my favorite King Crimson album, but that was a couple years ago, and I very much changed my tune on Islands. I find it a little bit unfocused. I find it very beautiful, dynamic. Like this album probably has like the greatest use of like dynamics and sound in terms of like being like quiet and loud and like gentle and audacious. But I don't think that kind of saves it from feeling unfocused. Formentera Lady and Sailor's Tale, I love how they lead into one another, or one leads into the other, I should say. Sailor's Tale, probably the best song on the album. The Letters, I go back and forth on. I've had experiences with, I think, like different versions of it digitally where like, or maybe it's even the vinyl record, I don't recall. Maybe it was just with more speakers or headphones, where The Letters, it's so quiet that you can't hear what Boz is singing. So then you turn it up, and then when the horns come in, or maybe just saxophone, that's not a horn. It's a woodwind, technically, for those of you who didn't know. For when, like, cause I don't recall if it's saxophone or horns that come in, but, like, I think it's saxophone. When that, like, kind of explosion happens, it's way too loud. So, like, I don't know. But, like, on this most recent listen, I think, because I transferred from... I have this box set. It has like 20 or 30 discs in here. It's crazy. And it has like a Blu-ray 96 kilohertz 24-bit copy of the album on it. So that's what I was listening to because I, chopped it up into FLACs. And that's what I was listening to. And I didn't have that issue with it. So it was either just this remaster that's on here or maybe the original, like, older headphones I was using. Because, the same headphones I was using back in 2018 or 19 when I would have first listened to this, I don't have those anymore. But I didn't have that issue. And then, like, Ladies of the Road, I like Ladies of the Road a lot. But it doesn't really fit in to the rest of, like, the aesthetic, I don't think. I love that song a ton, like, especially at the beginning when the kick drum comes in and goes like, dun, 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 dun. That part, like, always is really awesome to me, even though it happens once. But I don't feel like it feels like it's from a different album entirely. But like the guitar and the sax on that song, they're just awesome. Prelude, Song of the Gulls, contender for the prettiest song King Crimson ever put on an album. I don't think anyone could argue with that. I think some would argue that it's boring. I do not fit into that camp, but I could see why if someone would think so. Islands, one of my favorite title tracks from them. It is not perfect for one reason and one reason only, and that is because in the second half, this might be one of those things where, like, younger people can hear, higher frequency noises than older people. So, like, there's like a whine in the back, like in the second half of the song that you can hear. There's like a whine from like one of the instruments having like electrical interference or something like that from like a mellotron or something. I'm not sure what it is, but there's kind of like a buzz or a whine that you can hear, and it I just can't get past it, man. It annoys me to no end every single time. And there's probably a way to like go in and modify it to like cut out those frequencies, but at that point you're cutting out, other frequencies, that you don't want to. So that there's no winning for me, I don't think, in that battle. But it's a beautiful song, but it's just ruined by that. I shouldn't say ruined, but like I'm feeling a weak A tier for Islands. It's not my favorite, but it's up there still, I think. Just Sailor's Tale is so freaking cool. The guitar on it is awesome. The bass line, like the driving bass line is so cool. I don't know. I'm sure I could say more on Islands, but I don't feel like it. So now in 1973, Larks, Tongues, and Aspic. So now this is going into the A tier. There's not a whole lot, and I'm going to put it above Court, personally. I like it more than Court. That much I can't deny. See, when I redid when I was saying Islands was my favorite, and then kind of eventually it wasn't, Larks was what took the place. Larks has been my favorite for a couple years now. Maybe a couple years it'll change, but for now, Larks is the best. There's no misses on this album whatsoever. Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 1. Perfect song. It's a little weird, I would say, but like it's just so good, There's nothing to complain about it. It's just kind of odd structurally, but I think that's kind of the point. Book of Saturday, beautiful song. I find it funny with the I forget which song it is, or which live album it is, but there's one that I have, or maybe two, I don't recall, but it's like an old version of this song before they finished it, called Daily Games, and like it's the exact same, but like half the lyrics, instead of being what's on the actual like album, it's just John Wetton going do 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 do, like he does in the actual song, but like he just does it even more in the live version for Daily Games, which I find that humorous. Exiles, I'd say it's about on par with Epitaph in terms of like, I find them aesthetically similar to me, like they kind of fill the same role. But Exiles does have one line that I love, and it's to be alone is no injury, or something like that. That's when I was depressed at some point, and I was listening to the album and I was paying attention to the lyrics, and I heard that and I was like, damn, that is profound. Like I'm not in the same boat I was when that happened to me right now, but I still think about that from time to time. Oh, sorry, my nose is a little runny right now because wind allergies, I guess, in the spring. Easy Money. That Easy Money and Larks, Tongues, and Aspic Part 1 are tied for my favorite on this album, I think. I love the guitar on it. It's very similar to Schizoid Man structurally, and I'm not sure if it does it better, but I like it just as much, I'd say. I'm not sure I like either one more than each other, but I don't know. These are not the questions that I'm prepared to be answering right now. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Talking Drum, I love it. I really like the I think it's off of Radical Action, the rendition of it. Having like the Mel Collins on saxophone or whatever, I think it adds a little bit extra to it. Larks, Tongues Part 2. Maybe I take back what I said about not having any misses, but like Larks Part 2 is my second least favorite Larks part across the entire discography. It just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Like I don't hate it. I like it more than Moonchild in terms of a dud on an album. But it's definitely the worst song on the album. For me. Anybody can think different. But yeah. Okay. So let's move on to, was it 74 for Starless and Bible Black? Yes. Starless and Bible Black was when I talked about getting Court at a record store, I found Court on vinyl and I found Starless on CD. So that was my second album, and for some reason, like I didn't know the lore about, or I shouldn't say lore, these are real people, I didn't know the history of the band. So first time I heard Great Deceiver, I was thinking, man, the saxophone sounds so weird here. But it's because it's a violin. So I think I might have just been stupid when I first heard it. But Great Deceiver, great song. It's very, very high energy, very entertaining. Lament. Actually, I have a funny story about Lament. What was it in? I think it was my freshman year of college. I had we needed a credit for like a communications class, and there was some like performance art class or something I took where like it was mostly poetry, like performing poetry in front of like the class. But one of them was like we had to find lyrics, and I was gonna do like the entire song Lament, and I got like stage fright or whatever, and after the first verse I was like, okay, I'm just gonna say I'm done, and professor wasn't on the wiser, I guess. But that's embarrassing, but it also was embarrassing because like everybody else was doing like modern stuff from the last 10 years at that point. And I'm like, here I am, you doing a prog rock song from 1974. What am I? I'm such a loser. But yeah, this is my original Stardust Bible Black CD. Actually, I have it on vinyl too. I don't think I have a vintage copy of it though. And this CD is not even vintage. It's the 30th anniversary edition. Hopefully my chair creaking is not coming on the microphone because it is loud. But yeah, and then We'll Let You Know. I like that as an improv. It's pretty darn good. The bass is really good on it. It's just a little bit. I feel like this is one of those ones where it was longer on stage and they cut it down for the album, so maybe there was more to it. I'm gonna sound stupid here, but I think this was the only album I didn't re-listen to for doing this, and it's gonna show. But like I feel like it ends a little too fast, or soon rather. But it's pretty good. Night Watch is a favorite. That was like immediately like this is one of the best songs of all time that I heard when I heard it. Just so beautiful. It's funny that the only like the beginning of it is live, because actually I have this album, The Night Watch. This is the album that Trio was from, and Starless and Bible Black, the title track, Fracture, and the intro of The Night Watch. It's from this album, which they put out separately for some reason, but it has, it's got other songs on it. But this is the live album that most of these come from. I don't think We'll Let You Know and The Mincer came from this. They came from something else, I believe. I don't think I have that one though. But yeah, it's just Night Watch, very good song. I love the delivery of the lyrics. It's go listen to The Night Watch if you're gonna listen to anything from this album. Trio, maybe unpopular opinion. I don't care for Trio. The funny story about how Bill Bruford just chose not to play and made a song better. Maybe it made the song better, but the song wasn't that great to begin with. But yeah, the Mincer, it's creepy. You know, I think they added lyrics after the fact, just overdubbed it. Not, I don't feel too strongly about the Mincer either way. Starless and Bible Black, pretty good song. In terms of, you know, the improvisation on this album. I wouldn't say it's my favorite of them. I'd say We'll Let You Know is probably better in terms of being improvised on this record. But I think it's kind of a toss-up between those two. And Fracture, goated. Not as good as The Night Watch, but Fracture is one of my favorite King Crimson songs. Definitely. It's very, very good. It's like, you know, I will amend my statement. If you're listening to anything from this album, listen to The Night Watch and then listen to Fracture. If you're listening to anything, I'm not gonna say put it over Night Watch, but put it over everything else. So yeah, I'm gonna say Stars and Bible Black is definitely an A tier for me. It's got a pretty wide range. It's not the most consistent album, I don't think. But yeah, I feel pretty good about putting it in A tier. So now we have 74 again. Red. What needs to be said about Red? It's a fantastic album. It's many people's favorites. Is it mine? Well, let's talk about it. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room immediately. Starless is my favorite song of all time. So that kind of immediately gives it a lot of bonus points for me. Red, very solid intro. I love Red, especially when the I think it's either a cello or a double bass comes in. I love that part. Fallen Angel, I love Fallen Angel. And now here's why we get to why Red is not in the S tier, which I'm sure people are going to be throwing pitchforks at me for. One More Red Nightmare is too long for what it is, in my opinion. Not only is it too long, but they have the most annoying clap sound effect that they use. And I just can't get past it to fully enjoy this song. It's kind of middle of the road for me. I'm not gonna say it's worse than their worst songs. Like, it's definitely better than a lot of their music. However, it's also worse, I guess, just worse than a lot of their best. That's all there needs to be said about it. I think, like, it's got merit to it. I find the story within the lyrics very humorous, but it's just kind of, you know, it's not a favorite of mine. It's got some good riffs, it's got some good saxophone, but if they cut it down to 5 minutes, I would probably be a lot more receptive to it. But there's, it's 7 minutes, it's a little too much for that song because it's a little repetitive. And I don't like using repetitive as a way to say something is, and use it to describe something negatively. But, I did. Okay. Providence, it's just not that notable to me. It's not one of my favorite improvised pieces. I don't think it's bad, though, by any means. But yeah, Red definitely goes A tier for me. It's not anything better than that, I don't think. It's great, but it's not perfect. Or I shouldn't say perfect, because there are negatives to Larks and Court as well, but it's not as perfect or as close to perfection as those two are. Okay, Next, we have Discipline. Uh, Discipline is it's I have a little bit of like I don't know if nostalgia is the right word, but it's like I can picture where I was the first time I listened to it and kind of remember how I felt about it. I just remember being like, what the hell is this? Because it's just so different from any of those prior albums. And it's great. I, the only complaint I could have about Discipline is just that some of the tones that they use on their synth guitars are a little harsh. Like I'm used to it at this point in my life. I don't really care too much, but I've seen people like online talk about it and being like, "Man, these are kind of hard to listen to." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can see that." Like if they used kind of more pleasant kind of sounds, it would definitely be it could even reach S tier for me if it was a little more pleasant to listen to. But like Elephant Talk, frame by frame, Mate Kudasai. That's I should have just mentioned Mate Kudasai because that's another one of those in like the vein of like Lady of the Dancing Water and Cascade. That's probably I'd say that's on par with Lady of the Dancing Water for me. Like it's just really 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 good. It's probably it might be my favorite of like that kind of song from King Crimson. Indiscipline. I love that song. It's very very exciting and anxiety inducing. Not anxiety inducing, but like the anticipation building is like palpable. Thelu Jinji, that's probably the weakest song on it for me, but like the bass, but I should say purely the only reason I don't like it as much as some of the other songs is just the I don't care about the Thelu Jinji. I don't like that part. I don't care, but like the bass is so freaking juicy on this, like the barna barna bom. I'm not sure if that's a bass or a stick, but it's beautiful, whatever it is. Tony Levin, I'd kiss you on the mustache if I could for that. Sheltering Sky, probably my favorite. No, probably my second favorite song on the album after Mate Kudasai. I love Sheltering Sky. That might be an unpopular opinion. But like I've that's that and Mate Kudasai are probably my most listened to off of Discipline. Title track itself, it's pretty good. I like it. So yeah, Discipline, I would say strong A tier. Better than Starless and Bible Black. Worse than Red. Definitely better than Islands. No. Well, okay. So the reason why I'm struggling to place this is because in my mind, Discipline and Beat are pretty much neck and neck. And I want to put them next to each other, but I'm not sure that I would say I like I like Beat more than Stars and Bible Black. So by association, can I like Discipline more? I'm not. Okay. I'm leaning towards this. I'm locking it in. Beat. I love Beat. Neil and Jack and Me, Sartorian Tangier, Waiting Man, Neurotica. Great songs. I like Heartbeat a lot. Howler's pretty good. I think the only one I'm not the hugest fan of is Two Hands. It's not bad by any means, but I love Beat. I think that's probably a unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people just are kind of indifferent about Beat. But I like Beat a lot. That because the first time I listened to Discipline, it didn't quite. Oh, I forgot about Requiem. Requiem's awesome. Actually, I prefer the extended cut of Requiem. Actually, I should show this off too. Like I have the Discipline box set that has like a bunch of live albums and the CDs and stuff from this era of King Crimson. So I've heard a lot of stuff from this era, and it's just good. Actually, one thing I want to show off that I forgot I had I for a while I was so weirdly lucky in terms of finding like King Crimson stuff at record stores. This is like an official bootleg of a King Crimson concert, and it's decent, and it even has like a I don't know, like whole like whole page on the back, like a statement from Robert Fripp. I don't know why, but yeah, very very interesting find that I have. But yeah, I think Requiem is really good. I think Beat as a whole is really good. Neil and Jackamie, like I forget if I finished my statement, but like when I was talking about Discipline the first time I heard it, I was not the hugest fan of it just because it was so different. But Neil and Jackamie and like Heartbeat, Sartori and Tangier, Beat just it clicked with me way more quickly than in Discipline did. And yeah, I like Discipline, or I'd say I like Discipline more, but I'd say they're pretty much in parity with each other in terms of quality. Uh, so now this one I might get in trouble for. Uh, Three of a Perfect Pair. I'm not sure how the general consensus on Three of a Perfect Pair is. I know one of my friends really likes this album a lot. And I really, really love the first half of it. And I really, really don't love the second half of it. The only songs on the second half that I am okay with are I should check if New Widges is on the second half of Perfect. Let's see what's on side. Okay, no, New Widges is on side one, so it's not even okay then. But yeah, the only song on side B that I like is "Dig Me," and the version that I like of it isn't even on this album. And this is actually it's a sealed in shrink wrap copy of the album, I think from '85. I think is what it said on it. Oh no, this is the original '84 pressing. It's sealed. The shrink wrap has a couple of tears in it, but for the most part, it's completely good. And it has a sleeve over that too. But I don't know. That's just cool find I have. I've never opened it because I have like a modern pressing of it. Is how I listened to it the first time. But I have it. I've you know, it's pretty cool. It was only like $60 or something like that. I was like, that's cool. 50-year-old, not 50, like 40-year-old record sealed. It's pretty sick. But yeah, like I like the version of "Dig Me" off of I think it's the Absent Lovers CD. Like it's not transformatively different. The only thing I can think of is that gotta have more cowbell. They use cowbell on that album, and it to me it saves it. It saves the album, or not the album, the song. It saves the song. Just having a little bit of extra oomph to it. Because like when he's like, "I'm ready to leave," whatever. Don't make fun of me for singing. But like that part, I like that part a lot. But like the whole song isn't that. And I think it's just because so much of it I don't care for. Like maybe this is unpopular opinion. I hate Lark's Tongues Part 3. I really do not like it. And I don't like Industry. I don't like New Warning. I'm gonna put it. Final answer. Putting it in C tier. Final answer. Just because there's so much on it that I don't care for. And so now we go. I think it's 11 years later to Thrack. Now Thrack, I think, generally moved up a tier from my initial ranking to my most recent listen. I I love Thrak. I wish we got more than just one album with the double trio. Some of the live albums are pretty good too. Like they have really good sound quality, and yeah, I like these songs. Pretty much all the instrumentals are pretty good. The only like the weak one is like Baboon because it's just like a drum piece. But this album is where we really start getting into Adrian Belew not being quite as good of a songwriter or lyricist, I should say. But I don't think it is too bad on this album. Like Walking on Air, that's one of my favorite King Crimson songs ever. Dinosaur is just goofy, but like everything around it, like the guitars and like all the instrumental pieces of that song come together to make it really good. I'm not gonna go through every song. I don't know. I've been doing that just because this one has a lot of songs on it. But like Sex, Sleep, Eat, Drink is pretty cool. One Time, I like One Time a lot. People is just a vibe. It's really, really got a good groove to it. But yeah, like Vroom Vroom, that's a favorite of mine off of this. I love Thrak. I'm not afraid to say it. I love Thrak, and I can't stop rubbing my nose because my freaking allergies. But yeah. But the tough thing about it is I think what I do. I think that's what I have to do here. I think I got to swap Thrak and Islands at this point. Now that I'm thinking about it. It hurts me. It hurts my inner child who preferred Islands over everything else to do so. But I think Thrak is better than Islands at this point. I think I'm happy with that. So now we go. We lost Levin and Bruford, and there's a lot to be said about Construction of Light. Yeah, this is very much Adrian Belew's weakest in terms of lyrics, I think, personally. Prozac Blues, I don't hate it, but I do hate the like deep voice filter they use on it. Like it's kind of the same thing as like Indoor Games, where it's like it would be all right if the vocals weren't annoying to listen to. It's kind of humorous. It's kind of funny. He's like, "Oh, fifth of Jack and a bottle of, like it's fun." And I like the don 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 don. Like it sounds good. And I suppose one thing I'm a little conflicted on is should I include the reconstruction of Light, where they remastered it, but they didn't have the digital drum files anymore, so they just had Pat Mastelotto re-record drums for the album. I think both versions have merit to them. I'm gonna say some parts I prefer on one compared to the other. So that's kind of like a coin toss in the air for me, like on which one I prefer. But I don't think Reconstruction is better better enough to raise it up at all from D tier, because it's without a doubt the worst King Crimson album. Is it a bad album? I would say no. I like Construction of Light, but there are a lot more parts of it that I dislike than any other album. Into the Frying Pan, another one with the weird vocal like it's a different weird vocal effect. But I think the instrumental like portion of the song it's pretty decent. Like it's pretty good. I like it. It's just the weird vocal effects that they use sometimes just kills the song for me. Title track, for some reason, I should check to see if they fixed it, because I saw that they've fixed Lark's Part 4. Because if let me Yeah, so I don't know if I can show this on camera at all, but on the original release for Larks 4, for some reason it's split into 4 parts. I guess because there's four, it's number 4. Uh, but it's really annoying that they did that. Okay, so they did do this for the title track, the Construction Light as well, where uh on the original release of the album, but on streaming it's fixed. Construction Light is 2 songs. Like there's just the instrumental part, and then it's like 5 minutes long, and then I'm looking at it on my music player over here. Then there's like a 3 minute part where it has the lyrics and stuff like that. Like I don't know why they split it up like that. I mean, even on let me look at Reconstruction. Yeah, even on Reconstruction, for some reason, Into the Frying Pan, the introduction of it is split up. Like there's like a minute that isn't together with the rest of it. That I had to fix myself. But yeah, where was I? I was on Construction Light. Lark's Tongues and Aspect Part 4. Besides being split up into 4 parts for some reason, it's one of the I'd say it's my third favorite of the Lark's parts. I think it's very, very good. Fractured, it's just a worse version of Fracture. It's still good. It's not anything crazy. World's My Oyster Soup Kitchen is it's kind of a take it or leave it song. Like it's fine. It's whatever. I don't really care. It's the lyrics. You shouldn't say the lyrics are corny with like kind of just connecting words to each other or whatever, but because it's not like what album is it Elephant Talk, where he's just listing off different words with different like starting letters for talking. Like I think it's within it's consistent with Adrian Belew for what he's written. I suppose it's not anything too egregious or out of nowhere, but it's just very weak. It's just a weak album. And then it also includes Heaven and Earth from Project X, which I actually think I have. Yeah, I have Project X, which has Heaven and Earth on it. And the funniest thing about Project X is the one song they put on Construction Light is like probably the only good song on this entire CD. There's maybe like 1 or 2 more that are all right, but like a lot of the projects are very hit or miss, and that one was definitely a miss. It's not the worst one. I know off the top of my head which one I think is the worst because I paid money for it and I very much regret it because it was just bad. But I'll save that for if I do like a projects and live album tier list. Just that's more for like if people want to know what is worth buying, because I'm gonna go over like sound quality and song selection and stuff like that. There's a lot to know. And I'm just gonna say lastly, Power to Believe. I think this album is overhated. I think it's very good. But is it great? Is it great? No, I don't. Is it though? It's got my gears in my brain turning, trying to think about where I even place this. Cause I'd say this one has some really high highs and some really low lows in terms of a King Crimson record. Like, I'd say they definitely do the little interlude and intro outro part like they had on Wake of Poseidon better. Like I prefer the Power to Believe parts 1 through 4 better. But the thing I think I saw someone say something about this recently, and I was like, this makes so much sense. Is that there are really good songs on here, but the best versions of them are not on the album. And I think that is very, very accurate for Power to Believe. Because, like, Level 5, that's I go back and forth on if I prefer Level 5 or Lark's Part 1 in terms of which one's my favorite. And Level 5 off of the Level 5 EP is a lot better than the one off the album, I think. Eyes Wide Open. I love Eyes Wide Open. It's probably like the best bit of songwriting off of, in terms of lyrics from Adrian Belew since like the 80s. Maybe Walking on Air. But it's a very good song. But the acoustic version is way better than the one on the album. Which, like, if you buy the vinyl record, I'm not gonna grab it, or like I think like the expanded edition or something like that, it comes with it, and it's just better than the one on the album, you know. So I mean, the regular song is good, but it's not as good as the like acoustic version. Electric, if I remember correctly, I think when I saw King Crimson in concert in 2019. Oh, I should have worn my concert tee from that show. Maybe I'll go grab it at the end. I think they played Electric, and I like Electric a lot. And just like Level 5, the version off the Level 5 EP is better. Like, there's like actual, I don't know if they're lyrics or if there's like vocal samples, but like, there's definitely vocal samples in there, but like, they add just a little bit extra to it. Same thing with even like the in between parts, like I was talking about with like Peace and like the Power to Believe, like interlude parts. Like I think it's Deception of the Thrush, and I forget what the other one is called. Virtuous Circle. Like the full versions of those songs are just better than what's on this, because they're not short songs. They're good. Am I stupid? I'm looking at it now, and Power to Believe was that part 2? 7 minutes long. I'm not sure which one this was, but Deception of the Thrush off of the Level 5 EP is 13 minutes, and Virtuous Circle is 10. And I'm pretty sure those are the two that they use for parts 2 and 3. So like, if you want to listen to the full thing, you got to go to a different album. Facts of Life. Adrian makes fun of the distortion box he uses, but he's still using a horrible distortion box on his voice. So like, I just don't like the vocal effect on there. I don't think it's as bad as something like the ones I was complaining about off of was it Happy Family and whatever they was using on Construction Light on those songs. But it's the songwriting. I'm not a huge fan of that song in general. I don't think there's just a lot of stuff where I can be like, I don't think it's terrible, but it's not great. Oh, I'm stupid. When I was saying the electric, it's Dangerous Curves I was thinking of, that is on Level 5, that is better. I'm sure there's a live album I've heard that has the electric on it that's probably better. But I was thinking of Dangerous Curves is on Level 5. Happy with what you have to be happy with. It's just another fucking The World's My Oyster Soup Kitchen Floor Wax Museum. It's just kind of tongue twister word garbage. It's not terrible, but like, it's not anything exceptional to me. But yeah, like, but I feel like in spite of all those low lows I'm just going through on this one, the highs on like, even though I'm saying like Level 5 is better on the Level 5 EP, the version on Power to Believe is still fucking killer. It's just even better on the live version there. Same with Dangerous Curves. Like, I mean, it could be said Dangerous Curves is just a worse talking drum, but talking drum is so good that if they did it again and made it different, you know, it's still really good. Electric, another really good one. Eyes Wide Open, a really good one. It's just the acoustic version is even better. But like, it just makes it so hard to rank this because what is here has so much more potential that is cultivated on other projects. And just for this is genuinely the hardest one to rank because I think that this is like an overhated album. But like I don't think I can put it higher than B. I don't think I can rationalize doing that. Okay, I'm gonna, while I have my phone here, I'm gonna look at what I did for how I ranked everything before, just to see how much changed, because it's been a couple weeks since I did this. Okay. So what changed after these most recent listens? Discipline, like I was talking about before, where I kind of had them, I wasn't sure which one I wanted more than the other. Discipline was here, like I was thinking about. But I've come to the conclusion I like Discipline a little more than a little more than Starless, I think. Starless and Baba Black. Red, Larks, and Court still in the same spot. I mean, like if I really wanted to consolidate, I could move right up to S tier, but I just don't think I can do that in my own head and rationalize that. Beat was where in the same spot. Actually, what I just did, where I put Thrak over Islands. Islands is where Thrak was. Okay. So I really liked my most recent Thrak listen, I guess. Looks like Power to Believe went up a spot, which I'm not too surprised about that. I mean, like it's maybe I like Power to Believe more than the average person. I don't know. Islands went down 2 spots actually, which is a little surprising to me. But you know, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've been more and more harsh on Islands, despite how much I like it. Especially, I think Islands era King Crimson had some of the best live albums that are out there for King Crimson. Like not necessarily in terms of sound quality. Some of them have really good sound quality. Some of them are really decent to where it's still listenable, but it's a little rough around the corners, or rough around the edges is the saying. But it's like, you know, they're good. You know, like they improvise a lot on those. They do really good track selections. But we're not talking about the live, or we're talking about the actual album itself, not the live renditions. Lizard went up a spot, and I was gassing up Wake of Poseidon with the title track, and it went down like 3 or 4 spots. That is so funny to me. But that being said, I feel like the bottom 4 have been my bottom 4 for years. I think I probably had Lizard and Wake switched at some point, but I think at this point I'm probably pretty content with where those 2 are. It feels weird having Thrak and Power to Believe so high, but you know, I just like them. There's not a whole lot more to it. But yeah, the bottom 2 have been my bottom 2 for years, I think, in that order. I don't like being a hater of Three of a Perfect Pair. I don't like it. I don't like that I'm being a hater, is what I'm saying. I wish I liked it more, but just that second half being so experimental and not succeeding, I think, in what they were trying to do. In my eyes. I'm sure there are people out there that really like it, but I don't find it very engaging, personally. It was like that first half, maybe if they like rearranged the album and kind of weaved the back half in with the first half instead of having it front loaded with really, really good songs and back loaded with like kind of weird instrumentals and a shitty Larks version, it might be better. But they didn't do that. And as much as I like the title track from Construction and Larks and Fractured, my voice is cracking all of a sudden. There's just so much that is like, there's like nothing on there that is better than any of the other albums. And like I'm saying, like these, like I said at the beginning, I'm not saying Construction would go in the D tier on like a top 100 albums I listened to this year list. Like I think if I had that was my goal for this, it might be in the C tier in terms of like that, but it's just I'm referencing each other in terms of quality. Like, so like I'm not saying Construction of Light is as bad as like, what's an album that I hate? I'm trying to think of the new Tame Impala record. It's not as bad as that. I haven't even listened to it, but like the singles I heard, I do not care for. So I'm not even going to listen to it. So I'm being a hater and I'm not being informed. Sue me. I don't really care. But it's just the first thing I could think of. I could probably go through my record collection and find something that I don't care for anymore. But like off the top of my head, that's one I don't really care for. But like, yeah, I feel like this is a good place for me to end it. I think that this is a good opportunity to maybe start a dialogue in the comments, or maybe make your own response video or something like that. You know, maybe I'll see it. And I think, it'd just be fun to kind of bring up some debate. I mean, like, I think it was either today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday, maybe today. It's actually Robert Fripp's birthday that I'm recording this. I think it was yesterday. It's the 16th today. But regardless, yeah, if you have any criticisms of, my rationales and stuff like that, or you think one album should be above another, feel free to argue in the comments. I'll probably see it. I might respond to it. But yeah, that's all.